Hello, I am Mike of Nearly Enough Dice, and this is the Kerbal Space Program. This is going to be a fairly short episode because it's lots and lots of orbital maneuvering gone horribly wrong. The basic problem. This is me attempting to do the 14-minute burn that I had set up previously to get the Moho Explorer, this Moho probe, to Moho. And unfortunately, because it's 14 minutes burn, the orbit is only about 30 odd minutes. That means I'm spending an awful lot of my burn pointing straight into the planet. So that goes about as well as expected. I really should have thought of this, should have realized this was going to happen before, but I didn't, so there you go. Much to my surprise, it didn't actually burn up in the atmosphere. And it's possible that I might have been able to get away with it, had a bit more aerodynamic and this and that and the other thing, but basically it was completely unstable, and in the end it actually made its way through the heat shock and smashed into the ground at high speed. So that didn't work. So option 2 was to go back to the quick save that I set, which meant I needed to put the maneuver node back. And basically, I fiddled around with it. I've skipped over a lot of this, but what I did was I put the maneuver node in and got it to where I was getting something vaguely resembling encounter or a good close approach. I didn't quite get an encounter, but I got a reasonable approach. I then wanted to split that up into a number of burns, but in the end I could really only go for one burn which was about a third of the delta V, and then the other two-thirds in another burn. That worked out okay in the end. It turns out that the timing came out quite nicely, so that I was getting very close to the time I was wanting to go, which is nice. But also by placing that first burn directly on top of where the 14-minute burn had been set, that meant that my periapsis was now in the right place, and I could just burn at the periapsis and be going at the right angle, which is pretty cool. It turned out that first 6-ish minute burn was a very good setup, because it meant that now when I was coming in towards Kerbal, I was a much flatter trajectory, which meant that the extended burn, which is about 7 minutes, strange enough, about a third of the delta V took about half the time instead of taking a third of the time. I was very confused by that. But it meant I had a lot flatter, so that last 7 minute burn was pretty much parallel to Kerbal, and therefore I wasn't running into the atmosphere. That was all fine. The big problem then was I had a reasonable approach, or at least a reasonable at this kind of distance. But then I spent a lot of time fiddling with maneuver nodes to see if I could get an actual encounter. And it is actually very hard to do, because you don't quite know where the planet is going relative to you at that point in space. So you kind of put in, you want to see how close you're getting, what way the planet is going, and that should give you an idea of which way you want to adjust your orbit. You know, what maneuver you want to do to kind of get a better approach, get a closer approach, until it actually becomes something resembling an encounter. And that was very difficult indeed. I did eventually, with much fiddling, get myself something resembling an encounter. Well, it is an encounter. It's a very quick flyby. I am hoping to be able to make that even better later on. But I'm basically just going to leave it and hope that I can actually do the maneuver. I don't quite have enough delta V in the transfer stage, so I'm going to have to use some of my ion engines, and of course they are going to take a lot longer to actually do the maneuver, and that's assuming I can run them at full speed, which I should be able to. It should be closer to the sun by this point, so that should work okay. But I came very close to just saying, I guess I'm not going to Moho today, because it really gave a good impression of, you know, this just was not going to work. But in the end, I have, on paper anyway, an encounter, which I'll hopefully be able to improve on. It seemed easy the first time. I'm sure it seemed easy the first time I did this. But never mind. With that, I'm going to say this is the end of this very short episode. Thanks so much for watching. Do hit like and subscribe. If you're enjoying these videos, come visit nearlifedice.com. And until next time, reach for the stars.